Hi, I'm Ann Scottlin, and welcome to my live Tuesday show, Motivation Mythbusters. If you would like to leave a comment or question below, I would absolutely love that, or under one of my tweets about the show. I will also be picking some weekly for a shout out. You'll find me at Twitter at Ann Scottlin. That's ANNESCOTTLIN. Today on Motivation Mythbusters, I am talking about the myth that putting in more effort and more time always equals more results. The myth, mind you, that putting in more effort and more time always equals more results. Wouldn't it be nice if we could put in less effort and less time and get more results? Back to that in a minute. But before we begin, I would like to give a shout out to one of my listeners and followers. Julie from San Francisco wrote in, "Thank you, Ann. So solid. Thank you for your voice of wisdom. So many people need that voice of comfort and encouragement during these difficult times, and the well-chosen words you share hold more power than ever before. Appreciate your words, Ann. Thank you." Well, thank you, Julie. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're listening and finding encouragement, and I hope that's something that you can share. We've never needed joy more than we need it right now. So passing along an encouraging word, sharing with someone else, maybe even passing along the show, anything we can do to help each other in these difficult times is a real help. So thank you again. And to all the rest of you listening, please, yes, really do send any questions you'd like to hear me address on the show. I'm hoping to start a new segment where I do answer your questions on the show, either in the episode itself or individually based on the things you submit, and or even your comments. I'll be picking one or more for a shout out on the show weekly. So leave your comments below, or you can respond under this episode's post, again, on Twitter at Ann Scottlin. I love hearing from each of you, so please do write in. Today I am talking about that myth that putting in more effort and more time always equals more results. I don't know if people have articulated this to us in so many words, or if we've just picked it up by example. And here in Western society, some of us from parents, grandparents, bosses, if you work harder, you'll get further. Well, there is something in the message of working, but not always that more effort equals more results. For example, I love stories, you know I do, and I'm always observing people and human behavior, and it's part of my job. I was at the airport recently where they have those, it was one of the airports where they have those really long escalators from the underground tram system all the way up to the concourse. And there weren't many people around just then. And I got on one of the long escalators. And as I was doing so, I was watching a teenager and his friends who were also going up. Well, there was no one using the down escalator at that moment. So while his friends got on my escalator, this guy jumped on the down escalator. Yes, very dangerous. Don't do it. And started running up the down escalator at top speed to impress his friends. He ran hard. This guy was in good shape. He got about 2/3 of the way up this very long escalator. And then he got tired and he stopped for a breather. Of course, he rapidly moved backwards about half of the way he had just come. So he started running again, and with this great burst of energy, he got within about the top 5 steps and then just burned out. He finally sat down and rode the escalator all the way to the bottom and got on the up escalator, as he probably should have in the first place, as all his friends who were already at the top stood laughing. For this guy, putting in more effort didn't actually get him to the top. It actually got him back to the bottom. The harder he tried, the less motivated he became. Do you ever feel like in your job or in anything that you're trying to run up the down escalator? One of my clients recently was telling me how he's been facing a difficult problem at work that needs to be solved ASAP. Let's call my client Rick. Well, Rick was pouring in the overtime. He'd stay up super late at the office, and he brainstormed about this challenge he was dealing with. And when he left at the office at 11 p.m., he said he still felt unsatisfied with the solution he'd come up with. He started feeling super discouraged and unmotivated and started to question whether he had really even found a solution at all. So he went home to sleep, but he ended up in bed, lying awake half the night, trying to solve the problem. And when he got up in the morning, he only felt more aggravated and unrested. And on top of that, he still didn't feel any closer to a real solution. Have you ever felt like that? I have. So during my time with Rick asked me, why does it seem that sometimes the more effort I put in, I actually become less motivated and feel like I'm moving further away from my goal? It's so frustrating. And he said, I grew up in a family where a person's work ethic meant everything. In my parents' world, there was nothing that couldn't be fixed by more hours and more work. And he said, so why often when I do this, when I put in the more hours and the more work, do I feel like I'm actually moving backward sometimes rather than forward? What Rick brought up is a great question. So highly motivated activity can be well and good, obviously, right? And sometimes it works quite well. But the nemesis, love it. But the nemesis of motivation and productivity is fatigue. If you're lucky enough to not be physically fatigued, the problem-solving part of your brain does get fatigued, as apparently my speaking is at the moment. If you're lucky enough to not be physically fatigued, you still can often face the problem of your mind getting fatigued. I'm a writer, and all writers have faced the infamous writer's block. And let me tell you, writer's block, if you're not a writer, writer's block is definitely a sense of moving backwards. For example, you get so close to finishing a particular chapter and so motivated to get it done. And then something happens, and no matter how hard you try, you just can't find that neat, tidy way to wrap it up, or an outcome that seems worthy of the rest of the chapter, or a good conclusion to the story, or anything you feel good about. So you stare at your computer for hours until your eyes go dry, trying to do this, trying that, getting nowhere, working, trying, often until the very early hours of the morning, as you might imagine. But often, instead of finding a solution, you just start, getting grumpy, getting aggravated, and start questioning why you're even a writer at all, and all sorts of negative self-talk. Why does this happen? Well, there can be a variety of reasons for writer's block, for example, but one of them is that your brain is just fatigued. And you need to step away. Even I have a challenge with this, because once I'm on a roll, or I have a story going, or I'm preparing any kind of writing work, fiction or nonfiction, I get on a roll, I'm almost done, and then I hit a bump. But instead of stopping, I try to push through into those wee hours of the morning, and it doesn't often work. Well, here's the secret. Why does this happen? Your prefrontal cortex, near the front of the brain, manages complex problem solving and works even when we are not consciously thinking about our problem. In fact, your subconscious, or what I like to call your inner genius, can be much more effective at solving the problem than your fatigued and frustrated conscious mind that is swirling with feelings and judgments about yourself and your work. I suck at this. If you work for a reasonable amount of time, preferably set a timer, then get up and go do something completely different. Go for a walk, go visit with a friend, play with your dog, meditate, spend some time in nature, just being present and mindful, something that makes you happy, and not allowing yourself to consciously, mind that, consciously in your consciousness, not trying to solve that problem you're working on. Let your conscious mind rest. Let your mind and body recover from fatigue, and let yourself get refreshed. Usually when you get back to work, you'll find yourself calmer, happier, and more relaxed. And when you start working again, often a solution will just seem to pop up out of nowhere into your conscious mind. It will pop up from your subconscious mind because your prefrontal cortex has been working on it all the time. While you are taking a break and letting your emotions and mind rest and be refreshed by refocusing your conscious attention onto other things, your inner genius was still working away. And that inner genius is brilliant. But, and this is the most important part to understand, when your conscious mind, your surface emotions and experiences and physical feelings are aggravated, frustrated, or tired, or impatient, or fearful, when they are fatigued, these sensations become all-encompassing and they block your consciousness from being able to tune in clearly to your creative subconscious, the actual place where your brain does its most brilliant problem solving. So you need to step away. And stepping away does some amazing things for you too. I know as a writer, often when I step away, when that timer goes off, I realize, wow, my glass of water has been empty for an hour, or I think I forgot to eat lunch. There's lots of reasons why the conscious mind can stop talking clearly with the subconscious mind. Those can be as simple as food, water, and rest. We're not machines, but we still require energy and rest. Okay, so if you have a problem on your mind at home, say for example in the evening, whether that's for work or any other issues, something you're trying to solve, I often myself write it down on a piece of paper. The visual is very helpful in this case. And then set it aside before dinner or before bedtime and just let it go. I even talk to my subconscious. Come on, I know you talk to yourself sometimes. I know you do. I call my subconscious my inner genius. I'll say, okay, inner genius, I need you to work on this problem for me because I'm tired, I'm hungry, maybe I need sleep. I realize I am fatigued and not being productive anymore. I haven't been taking a rest. I haven't been giving my conscious mind a break. So I'm going to do the best thing I can do for you right now, which is step away. Let my conscious mind rest and let you, my inner genius, my subconscious, I'm going to let you work on it. Then you, as in me, you, those of us taking the break, then make a conscious decision not to dwell on the problem for a little bit of time while you go to sleep for the night, or you take a break and eat dinner, or you go for a walk. And especially I love the one when I write it down before I go to sleep at night, because often in the morning when I wake up, I'll see the note that I wrote the problem on, but I'm coming to it refreshed and more open to other solutions than the one direction I was obsessing about maybe the night before. I don't always get an instant answer or solution, but often as I go into my day, what seems like a new bright idea will just pop up in my mind. And then I get excited. Wow, that's perfect. I never thought of that. But the secret is I did, because my inner genius, my subconscious, came up with that solution hours ago while I was peacefully sleeping in my bed. And even if you still don't find a solution for a while, how can it hurt to rest your conscious mind and body? You'll still show up happier and more peaceful instead of fatigued and frustrated. You will actually feel motivated again as opposed to frustrated and fatigued. You'll feel motivated again because instead of exhausting yourself, you gave yourself a rest and a fresh start. I am going to put this into application today because I'm working on a big creative project that I can tell you all about sometime in the very near future. I've been working on it. I've hit a bump. And so when I'm done with this podcast, I'm going back to work. But before I do, I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to go sit in my hammock and listen to the birds. You know I love it. What's your special thing? I don't know. Take a break. Step away if you're working. And can I just throw in a special little bonus here? So many of us, I don't know about you, but so many of us in the current climate are working from home. Not always because we have a choice in the current circumstances. If you're working from home, it is almost more important than ever to give your fatigued mind a break and to step away. because we just get sort of in this rut at home. We're in a comfortable place. And unless you work on the phone full time, we don't get the kind of interruptions we do in a normal office environment. Your boss doesn't come over. Your phone isn't ringing quite as often. You don't have a colleague saying, hey, you want to go to lunch with us? Or, hey, I'm going out to coffee, chat for 2 minutes, and I can bring you a coffee back. We just don't get those interruptions. You got to, time for a staff meeting, a board meeting. You got to get up out of your desk, walk down the hall, go to another room. No, at home, when we're working from home, so often you get stuck in that favorite chair or down in the bottom of that big, deep couch, or sitting at your kitchen table, or sitting at the counter in the kitchen, or standing in the kitchen working on your laptop. And time just flies by, and we don't have any interrupters. We don't have healthy interrupters. Now, those of you who have kids may have interrupters. I don't know about how creatively that is going to help your job process. But even that can be a break if you're stuck in a rut. Either way, give yourself a chance to step away. And again, more than ever before, this is really important, especially if you're working alone or you're working from home, to create an environment where you stop obsessing and take a healthy break. I will also say that for many people, the break is not as useful. It can be, but I'll just say for some people, it's not as useful if that is a digital break where you're still not looking away from the screen and you're playing a game or you're watching a movie. Nothing against games or movies, but give your eyes a break. Give your mind a break. You all know the science now behind the white screen on your digital devices and how much that kind of messes with your mind, messes with your eyes. And I can give you more science on that next time. Step away. Go outside. I gave one of my clients just this last 2 weeks. Every time I work with her, I gave her a challenge to go outside. She's not a big outside person. I said, just go outside. I don't care if it's on your front porch. Go outside and close the door and spend at least 5 minutes outside every single day. For some of you, you're already spending way more than that. But if you don't, do it. Get out. And maybe don't just get out and talk on the phone. Get out and observe nature. Get out, take some deep breaths. Better than just get out 5 minutes. Get out for 15 or 20 minutes minimum and go for a brisk walk. I mean, there's almost nowhere where you can't go for a walk. The weather has to be pretty bad and you have no weather equipment if you can't at least go for a walk. Get out, give your fatigued consciousness a break. So I challenge you to try this week and let me know how it goes for you. When you get fatigued, and notice fatigue can be subtle. It can be a sense of aggravation, a sense of frustration. If you notice your body starting to shift and fidget, if you start to notice your mind wandering, if you start getting impatient with other situations in your environment or in your work, it's often because you're getting fatigued. Step away. Remember, the harder you try, often the less motivated you can become. It's easier than it looks. Step away. Less is really more. And, oh yep, more is really less. Stop being that guy who's trying to run up the down escalator when putting in more effort didn't get him to the top and it actually just got him back to the bottom. Step away. Practice some self-care. Like yourself a little bit. Be good to yourself. Because when you are in your best self, your subconscious, your inner genius, will tune into your conscious mind much more effectively. And you may be surprised to see how quickly the answers to your challenge actually come. Give yourself a rest and let me know what happens for you this week when you try it. You can write to me in the comments under this broadcast, or you can write to me under one of my tweet posts about this broadcast this week at Ann Scottlin, and let me know how it goes. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your stories, your feedback, your questions, and I'll pick some of your comments to respond to in an upcoming broadcast. Maybe you'll even give me some great content for an upcoming broadcast where I can talk about exactly what you sent to me. Well, our time is nearly up. If you happen to join me partway through the live broadcast, this episode will be up on my website 24 hours after it airs. So check me out on my website, AnnScottlinCoaching.com. Thank you so much for joining me here on Motivation Mythbusters. And I've got a news flash for you, little piece of great news. Next week at the same time, I will begin again the series called Your Inner Genius. Same time, same place, and much like the talk we had today, it's going to be called Your Inner Genius, and I have some terrific content for you won't want to miss. So please join me, same place, same time, and I can't wait to start sharing this new series with you. And please join my other followers on Twitter at Scottlin, Scottlin, for several daily doses of motivation and inspiration. I hope our time together today has given you some food for thought. I can't wait to hear from you. Thank you for letting me be part of your journey. I'm Scottlin. See you next time.